Does your Pocket 3 videos look like this? I know, not a great look at all. In this video, I'm going to give you 3 simple steps to follow to take your videos from looking like that awful overexposed shot to looking like this. As you can see, I've built a little stage here so that I control the light for all the settings on your Pocket 3. So I purposely underexposed the Pocket 3 here rather than overexposed so you can follow along with your Pocket 3 as well. So step 1 is to slide up from the bottom it says, and select your frame rate. Now frame rate is very important for step 3 of this video. So I've got mine selected on 25 and 4K. Step 2 is to bring in your side menu, and it's also important to remember that these are pro settings. Keep your color to absolute normal on here because it makes it easier for you to follow along as well. I'm going to go into exposure. Now I have already set my shutter speed, this is here on the left, the shutter speed, to 50. That's important. Whatever frame rate you're using, your shutter speed needs to be double within video. So mine is 50, if yours is 30, it'd be 60, and so on. You can see up here, our EV is at -3 already. It's important to fix your shutter before you move on to step 3. Step 3 is where you then change your ISO to get the correct exposure. As I move this ISO up, you can see in the corner here, it's gone to -0.7. I always say it's better to underexpose than overexpose. When you're overexposed, you can't get that back. When you're underexposed, you can actually do something with the footage afterwards. You don't lose the information. So on the screen at the moment, it looks kind of exposed. If we go up to 800 or 1600, it is now well overexposed. So we want to go to around about 400, I say. Gives you it to 0.7. So you can see what this exposed image looks like. I think it looks really, really good. And as you can see, I am using the Guyver here. If you're outside, the same principles absolutely apply. But what if it's overexposed and you can't do any more? Let's just simulate the settings as if you're outside. So I'm going to go back into exposure. I'm going to drop this down to 50, and then I'm going to take one of these lights and make it super bright. And here's what you can do. So obviously I am simulating the settings here in our studio. I have maxed out both these nan lights and to simulate overexposure. So you can see actually on the Guyver right now that it is bleached out. So let's assume that we have taken our settings down to an absolute minimum for the exposure on the ISO. I purposely put up to 400, but let's pretend it's on 50. The only way around this is to actually use ND filters. If you're not familiar with ND filters, it's neutral density. They are sunglasses for your camera. So what I have done is selected an ND filter. Can't quite see that. It's very tiny. These are magnetic. This is an ND16. I'm going to put that over the camera now, and not easy to do this way around. And you can see it has drastically changed the image. Actually, I really quite like the underexposed. So exposure is perception. It's all about what you think looks good. The camera will try and register what it thinks the exposure should be. So I'm going to go into this now, and I'm just going to up it a little bit more. So I will leave the shutter exactly the same, and I'm just going to use the ISO to go up to 800. And actually, that looks absolutely perfect. NDs are a great tool in your kit for your Pocket 3. They're not very expensive. I'll leave some links in the description below. But you can have a fixed ND like the one I've just put on, or you can have a variable ND. And these ones magnetic on. Let me put this on. Here we go. Now, let me just press record. There is a little wheel on this, so I can, it's very difficult to do this whether I'm going to change the exposure. Yep, it says I've made it darker now. Now if I then go the other way, it says very difficult. You can see me actually doing this on the recording. Now it's very bright. Variable NDs are absolutely perfect. If you don't know whether you want to put on a 4, 16 or 32, you can put this on, then twist it to the right place. One thing you might want to consider, guys, is a variable on change in light. So if you're outside and the light keeps changing, that's where you want the variable to change the exposure. The key is basically use an ND or ISO to affect the actual exposure. I mentioned in step 1 why step 3 is so important. The reason why you have double the shutter compared to your frame rate, so we've gone 25 and 50 in this case, is so that you can get that proper motion blur. So if you're running along or you've got your Pocket 3 actually mounted to a car, you get that motion blur going by. If you then took that shutter up to, let's say, 400, 500 to compensate for the overexposure, you'll get a stuttery look to it. It kind of like look jagged, like stop motion. So that is why you go for double your frame rate. So guys, hope that video has helped. If you've got any questions about exposure, please drop it in the comments below. Next week's video is going to be all about natural light in your videos, but not using the sunlight. And if you found this video useful, pretty sure you're going to find my 25 cinematic settings also useful. Take care guys. Great to see you. See you again soon. Bye.